That's substantial. I don't think people realize how substantial that is. Thank you for all the affirmations, man.
Bro, come on, man.
It's tight. Now it's coming. I'm reaping what I've sown.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like really good things are happening, and people are like, it's happening so fast. Even myself, it's like, no, it's just happening super slow.
Yeah. We've been grinding for a minute. Yeah.
All right, we're here. Boom, round 2. We have one of our best guests, one of our most. His podcast was received super well, and he's a busy man, and he is out here hustling. We've been doing this hustle for some years now, and so I'm gonna introduce CEO of Decade Financial, Mike Dunn.
Hey, what up, though, guys? What up, though? It's Mike, the money guy, Michael Dunn, CEO of Decade Financial Solutions. One-stop shop always for credit and money-related matters. Man, it's always good to be in your space, bro. It's been a long time. Been keeping track of all the growth, everything that's been going on, and decided just to reach out, like, yo, dog, let me get back on this bad boy. So it's a good time, and I'm excited for our conversation, man. I don't even know where it's going to go today, but I'm looking forward to it.
No agenda, like I try to keep that. That's a straight Mark snag off Joe Rogan's podcast. Yeah, where it's just like I don't want to have an agenda. Like sometimes I want you to introduce and talk about what you built over the pandemic.
Okay.
So because I'm interested, but like I said, I don't want free form, like whatever comes up. And
so all right, so let's take it from the top, right? So had a vision way back when. This is like in active addiction, had a vision about this idea of a company that could really bridge the gap between finance and just human connection, right? Financial guys, and even like, software guys, coders, all these guys, all these highly technical jobs, it doesn't translate well to communicate, to people, and let's just be honest, right? Like a lot of people, 90% of the time really don't give a shit. It's more about like, okay, well, what's in my bank account? And, why is it going out faster than what I think it should be? That kind of thing. So I knew that, like, because I love people and I love finance, I knew that I wanted to kind of bridge that gap, right? So then fast forward the clock, like, 8-9 years later, God kind of gave me this vision. It was like, no, like the actual specific product that I want you to focus on in finance is credit. And I was like, credit? I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. And then I started getting into the space, started working with people on all these different debt management products. And I started realizing, like, the light bulb kind of came on. I was like, oh my God, like this puts me in the thick of like everything, like everyone, like there's no person too big, there's no person too small that I can't help or can't work with on some level or another. So that's where kind of the light bulb came on. And this was like 2 years ago. So then I started the company using all the tools and everything that I know and how to do startups and stuff like that. And I was able to scale the company to over 6 figures in gross revenue in less than 90 days. And so I got a lot of notoriety from that. I'm in a lot of like Facebook chat groups and all this other stuff. And so there's one particular really big community on Facebook that people started reaching out to me. They were like, yo, like, how did you do this? Like, what did you do? Like, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then it kind of evolved. So what ended up happening is like, okay, I'm working with consumers, the company's doing well, we're growing. And then I got these people who keep hitting me up and they want like coaching and like training. And that's another one of my like passions is teaching and working one-on-one with people on that level. So I was like, why not just start another arm of the business or start another company that centers around consulting and coaching, So that's how like my second company was born, Decade Consulting Group. Now, Decade is kind of the umbrella. So most of my companies will have the name Decade in it because it's actually an acronym for determining education can achieve discipleship experiences. And it's always through these different mediums. So through financial solutions, through consulting, and et cetera, as we grow more and more brands of that. But that whole coaching thing, that's something that came in the middle of COVID that I had no idea that it was going to be something I wanted to do. But there was such a demand for it that I was like, I need to make this a priority, and I started doing that. And so that's how the second company was born. And then I got a few others that I'm working on. But man, we got a lot of irons in the fire, dog. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's that's entrepreneurship. You know, like even from in my business structure, I just do a bunch of shit. I just do a lot of shit. You know, right? and that's the nature of 2020. Yeah, is that you know, whether it be fitness coaching and OnlyFans. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Like if you know, you gotta just have multiple pieces of what you do. And for me, as coming from the coaching background, working with people, it's different. Like working within credit repair, I'm sure it's binary. Yeah, it's very binary.
Well, I mean, it can be, right? So, but then there's also this point, like, you know, so I've learned that by and large, we're all suffering from like the same thing. It just shows up in different ways, for sure. You know, like you take an example, right? Like you having a background in fitness, you've seen some people who are overweight, and then you've seen some people who are morbidly obese, you know, like, and when you're looking at them, me knowing you and knowing how you are, you're also looking at their heart. You're looking at their spirit and saying, okay, like, what kind of spirit or what kind of a heart does a person have to have in order to allow themselves to get to this point, right? And how can we help them get back to a place of like true self-love and healthiness, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's literally no different in the credit world. You know, you think about a person who time and time again, like makes poor choice after poor financial choice after poor choice. A part of it's education, right? You just don't know what you don't know. But then the other part is too, is that there's like a sense of like spiritual sickness that's going on inside that allows you to keep making those same poor choices over and over and over. Yeah. So when I really started getting into the meat and potatoes of that, I really started realizing like, man, like this concept of this like spiritual abnormality, this is like permeating in all facets of business. It's not just like in the credit world. And I even noticed it and that's how I structured my coaching program when I was doing business, as I do business coaching, is like, it's predicated on the idea of looking at the spiritual abnormality. Like one of the first lessons we do. And it's funny because like a lot of the mentees, when they first come and we do like our kind of prospecting call, they're expecting to get like this full like, okay, so we're going to be working on marketing and this and that and that. And then the first lesson's purpose-driven performance. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? And then when we get through the lesson, like most of them are like, they walk out of that lesson, they're like heavy because they're like, dude, like I did not expect to get unpacked like that in a coaching call. Like I thought that we were just going to be talking about business, and it's like, but you are the business, you know, like you're the people, the business is made up of people and you're the most important person in it. Yeah. So let's talk about you, you know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because I see that in all aspects. It's not just one industry specific. Like that type of thing is going on all over the place.
Yeah. It's hard to drive that home. But what's cool about the millennial generation, 35 to I think 25.
Yeah, it's somewhere around there.
Yeah, 35 to 25. I think we're the first generation to do that. We still have the bit of the old school. Yeah. Like your parents and my parents, successful, intellectually successful, but head to the grindstone kind of deal. Yeah. I don't know about your dad, but my dad, he grinds it out. Dude. He was in the hospital, 18-hour shifts, 3 days a week, like grinding this shit out, saving lives and doing it, you know. And then he taught us that. And my mom, same thing. Yeah. In the educational space, in the academic space. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like so. Just recently, actually, I went to my dad and I asked him, "Hey, Dad, do you think that I'm working too hard?" You know, it's became a point of contention with some of my friends and people that I was dealing with, like in my close circle, and he when I asked him, he looked at me and was like, "What?
You're not working? I think you don't work at all."
Yeah, he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Get your ass in there."
My parents don't think I work at all. I'm like, they don't get it because in the beginning you're not making a ton of money. Yeah, you're not making a ton of money, so it's like, oh, you're not doing anything.
You're not doing. Yeah, you're not doing anything.
I'm full. I'm full. I'm doing tons of shit. I'm doing hella other shit. But like we're the first generation not first, but our parents were grinders. But because they grinded so much, we have opportunity. Yeah, and we have like financial freedom. I grew up financially free. Yeah, in the sense that I didn't have financial pressures.
You had the freedom of not having to worry about finance.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're the first generation to to follow our heart.
Yeah.
It's like heart before money.
Yeah.
Or heart and money together. Now young people are all fucking lovey-dovey. Soft as shit. It's different. It's different. Our generation, we went through 9/11,
right?
recession,
crazy
now
shit,
pandemic.
Right?
We went through some shit. But the new generation is just so soft.
I'm
like,
offended.
What's your pronoun? Like, offended by everything. Like, everyone should be canceled. But they're the first generation who they're not going to be able to make any mistakes.
Yeah.
Because it's all on camera.
Yeah.
I got to do most of my dirt.
Yeah, without
no cameras. Thank fucking God.
Right?
Thank God, because I was a savage. But we're the first generation that has to be purpose driven. That had to be purpose driven. And some of us didn't do it that way. Some of us went into the more binary space. Yeah. And they're gonna grind it out like our parents did. And I feel almost bad for them because it's like, damn, like that is a grind. But for us, and it sounds like that's what you're doing, it's like a heart-centered kind of business coaching. And that's the same way I am with my coaching in all aspects, is because because we're recovery guys. That's just
I know think so. That, well, that's the thing too, right? So that's the part that's been the biggest gift is my recovery and my spiritual growth in the last 2.5, 3, well now closer to 4 years. I was always able to make good money. Like I even when I was working for somebody else, I was gainfully employed. I mean, one particular company I was making over $300,000 a year and was doing well and thought I had my shit together, but inside I was dying. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was just fucked up on the inside, dude. Like it was messed up. And like getting into the work made me realize I was like, dude, like first of all, alcohol's not even my problem. I'm my problem first off. And if I now really am able to conceive that, like, Jesus, how many choices, how many interactions that I have with people over that 5,475 days that like was a result of like me not liking myself. Yeah. You know, I got to a place where I stopped looking at other people and really started looking at me. Yeah. And then
personal responsibility.
Dude, so I was just talking about this the other day. Like one of the biggest, I think for me, one of the biggest fundamental flaws in our society right now is somehow, some way we have gotten into this space of just not being personally accountable
and blaming everybody else
for something.
Those the left, the right, the men and women. It's
crazy.
Toxic masculinity or it's black and white. It's like, damn, like nobody's wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong and everybody else is wrong, which is particularly frustrating because it creates so much division. Yeah. And that's where where we see our social structure now, where there's so much more division than there's ever been. In my belief system, even in the 60s, it was like there was outright racism. Yeah. But now it's white people hate other white people.
Yeah. it's our society's become very polarized, right? And all these kind of socio-systemic infrastructures, like breaking it all the way down from like an economic and social standpoint, geographic, and you know all these different dynamics, right? Even like within our own race is like we have these
even within our own race.
Yeah, we have these subdivisions, right? And I think personally it comes from a lack of personal accountability, or how we like to say honesty, open-mindedness, realness, a lack of that, right? Yeah. And so then there's no space to be able to converse because everyone's like, I'm right and I don't even know what you're talking about. And
married to being right.
Yeah.
That's such a waste of time. That's such a waste of fucking time to be right. Dave Chappelle said, the most uncomfortable motherfucker in the room is the dude who's right. Like, I don't need to be right. Yeah. And that's the thing. Everybody wants to be right. And like they believe the way they think is the only way and the right way. And I don't know how to get out of that, but the lack of personal responsibility, I think, is one of those internal keys. One of those internal keys that's foundational in a peaceful and prosperous like coexistence with the world and with life and with business. Yeah. But that takes humility.
Oh, and I was hoping you said that.
We have piss poor leadership in a lot of aspects of life, and we have social media which does the opposite. Yeah. It's the opposite of humility. Everything is ego driven. Everything is my appearance, my image.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that. Okay, so this has been a very interesting conversation and a dialogue that been having with a lot of people, right? Where I got a friend who I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm coaching her, so to speak, but I'm helping her try to get her dreams off the ground. She's a really close friend of mine and I love her dearly. And we've been talking about social media because she's got a lot of reservations about social media. She's a single mom and she's like, I don't feel like I want to put myself out there and this and that and, you know, yada, yada, yada. We've been going back and forth and really kind of unpacking the concepts, the psychological and philosophical concepts behind social media. Social media to me is inherently not bad. It's not bad at all. It's just, it's literally just a tool, right? No different than money or any other tool. But the problem is that it is what you create out of it. And that's the issue that I think happens. See, so like you survey like 10 different people on like, what does social media mean to you? You're probably going to get 10 different responses, right? And you're absolutely right. There is one section of that where it's like, it's superfluous. Everything's like vanity and
I think it's larger than one section. I think
it's not like that for me.
I know that. But when you go to explore, like there's people who are. I have an ab pic. I have an ab pic. I have an ass pic. Even for me, I have a particular picture that is, for what I do is I add a message to it. What I write is way more valuable than the photo. Yeah. But there's people who are just showing their ass cheeks. This is the vast majority of what drives Instagram's revenue. Yeah. Is the monetization of sexualization.
I wouldn't even say just I would say more the monetization of the seeking of validation.
Of the validation. Yeah. But when I say what drives that
sexualized part of it.
But the validation. So maybe you have a healthy relationship, which I think generally my relationship is healthy. I bounce back and forth. Sometimes I get real like, nah. You know, sometimes I get real salty. Yeah. You know, not very often, but like every couple of weeks, I'm like,
you get a little jaded. Yeah.
Yeah, I get jaded. But I think you have a very healthy relationship to it. But I just talked about on the previous podcast it's based off of literally, if you look at what it is, I'm going to post this thing of my ass, of my abs, of my fit body, of my money or whatever. Please like me. Yeah. Literally, it's walking up to people, hey, please like me.
Hey, do you like me? Do you like this?
Do you like this?
What do you think?
Exactly. And like people will like look at their impressions like, oh, 1 million people looked at this. Like,
and and we've talked about this from the science point, right? The dopamine receptors that are happening from seeing the likes, and with each increasing like, there's an increase of dopamine. It's like a dopamine just hitting every single time, you know, like as each like grows.
When you think about what it is, when you think about actually what we're doing here, it's unprecedented. We're in a place, we're in uncharted ground. Yeah. And we're the first generation of it. Yeah.
I feel like, okay, so our generation, I think, is not necessarily the first. I think the generation that I'm most interested in is Generation Y, right after us. Or Generation Z, whatever it is, right after us. Because we were still lucky enough or blessed enough.
We had both.
We had both. We were a child of both worlds, right? So we seen the old way, and you know. And I remember, like, my mom putting me on the bus and not having the cell phone to call my mom, you know, like having to pull up the physical bus route.
Like, and figure out bus route,
right? Yeah. So I remember that. And then I also remember, you know, being able to talk with people from Israel.
We got to see the inception. Yeah. So I mean, like what I mean is the first influencer generation. All right. Because there's the generation after us has only known that. Yes. They've only known social media has really been big for 10 years. Yeah. Really been big. So there's a generation, their whole teenage years, their whole like elementary and junior high school years.
They grew up.
That's all they grew up with.
It's part of their identity.
What I meant was that we're the first influencer generation because I didn't have a cell phone for not most of my life now, but like a lot of my life. And I got to see we rode our bikes. And shit. We were mobbing around like fucking like doing shit. And then we were introduced to this. Yeah. So we're actually, I think, a great sample size of like what can happen. But yeah, my original point was, and we'll get back to your original point, is that so much of it is driven by please like me. Yeah. That I think people really get lost in that. And I understand reluctance in wanting to focus on social media. I was reluctant too, but being in this space.
Yeah, you have to be, right? Yeah.
You just have to be.
Yeah. And I think personal disclosure. So I just came out of a fast. Did a fast for about 40 days. Okay. Predominantly liquid. every morning getting up, consecrating myself, really getting into a meditative state, really just trying to hone in with my spirituality. But this was a little bit of a unique fast for a few reasons. One, I never really focused on the physical side of a fast before. Like I was always focused on the spiritual, but this one I tried to bring like my mind, body, and spirit all into kind of a state of balance. And then two, this is the first fast that I did without being able to go and fellowship. So that was a very, that was a very interesting.
That's even deeper.
Yeah, it was very interesting and I feel so grateful to one of my good friends. She decided to do it with me. So we were linking up on Zoom every morning and going through like our routine. She ended up being like a godsend for me, like through the entire fast, really helped me see some things about myself. And it was just a really great process of growth. But the point is that I'm trying to bring up about how this pertains to social media is that was something that I decided to visit while I was in the fast. It was like, okay, what's going on in my social media? What am I putting out into the world? Like, what am I getting back in return? Like, what am I putting in my eye gate? You know, what am I subjecting myself to? And I know a lot of people saw like a massive deletion of like who I was following on social media because
sometimes you got to do a purge.
I had to, bro. I had to, dog. Like it was, and even now I'm now starting to do a purge on my Facebook where I'm really just like snoozing a lot of people, like deleting a lot of people because like, you know, like what I learned about the fast for me, the thing that I'm addicted to the most, dog, is quality conversations.
Yeah.
Like that is what I'm addicted to. Like I don't want to spend my time talking about baby girl's ass from that's 2-3 slides ago.
There's a time and a place for that.
Yeah.
There's a time and a space for it.
You know what, dog? Like for me, there really isn't. Like for that time and place was when I was like
break that down to me.
Okay.
Break that down. So because I just talked about it on the monologue.
Yeah.
It's gonna come out. Is that when I say there's a time and a place for it, I don't want to yuck any yum. You know, I don't want to because a friend of mine on the podcast said every sexual interaction he's had has been negative.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's deep. You know, to say that. And that's for me to say like, to say all the ass on Instagram is toxic. Or I understand for you in your spiritual practice, it's okay.
So all right, so let's unpack
it.
Yeah, all right. So check it out, right? So if I'm looking at it from a spiritual standpoint, but I'm actually going to put the spiritual standpoint on a shelf just for a quick second, right? If I have somehow created an algorithm within my own feed that now I'm being inundated with just like sexually provocative images on a regular basis, where it's just like every couple of slides, it's like some fine ass girl with, you know, titties out, whatever. What I am doing is I am programming subconsciously my mind to view women through only one lens, right?
Agree.
And so now this is the diabolical side of it. Like with, you know, when you talk about the enemy, you don't realize how that plays in the way that you interact with people in general. Yeah. I'm not just talking interact with just women. Like you don't realize how it plays out in the way that you interact with people in general. And so when I really look at that and then I really step back and look at my own life objectively and let's say think about what I'm thinking about, like I begin to see that, man, like my conscious thoughts that are surrounded around this idea of sexuality are very perverse and they're very out of context.
Yeah.
And so what I've come to begin to understand is that in my younger years, sure, there might be a part of me who's, you know, I'm growing to all this testosterone. Like, you know, I don't know what to do with these feelings. I'm horny. I'm got hair growing in places I don't even know. You know, all this. There might be a place for that, perhaps. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm telling you my truth, right?
Yeah.
So for me, being a 35-year-old man who now wants to have a child, like wants to have children, wants to be married, wants to have family, in all due respect, what the hell do I need to be looking at 23-year-old females on Instagram for?
Absolutely. I feel you. For me, I am married.
Congrats.
No, we didn't get married.
Okay. Yeah, you are. But you basically...
I'm married. There's nothing else to do but have a ceremony.
Yeah.
But I'm essentially married, 2 children. And with my partner, she is way more than a sexual object.
Yeah.
And she's actually taught me about women and taught me about how women are sexualized at such a young age. And like, I think of her as a multi-dimensional person, more than just a sexual object.
Yes,
because sometimes it's just sex is not what you both are into.
Yeah,
sometimes you're just into watching like true crime shit.
Dude, yeah, bro. See, this is my thing. I think sex so this is so funny. Me and my homegirl were just having this conversation. She was asking me like, "Yo, Mike, have you ever like stopped to consider like what it is you want sexually like from your partner in marriage?" And I was like, "Dude, you know what it really comes down to for me? Sex is meant for me to be a thermometer of the relationship. It's meant to just measure the healthiness of the relationship. Like everything else is vibing, where we're connected on all the other things. Our sex life is like, it's out of control. It's through the roof. When we're not connected, when we're off,
sex life is
it's not there.
I would, as someone in a relationship, I would agree with that. When you're not aligned, but sometimes you're not aligned because you haven't been in union.
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes you've been with children. It's business, right?
Yeah.
We're putting kids to bed.
Yeah.
We're fucking.
You're on the schedule.
We're getting kids ready for school. And then she works 9 to 5 still. She comes home. She's just trying to check out.
Tired, yeah.
And then by 9:30, we're finally at a place where we're like, because you can't, like for me, I can't breathe until my kids are sleeping.
I understand.
Like I just, or like napping or somewhere. And
safe.
You just can't sleep. You can't breathe. So sometimes you get so caught up in that it's like, we haven't had sex in a while. Yeah. Like I need to get connected with you. Yeah. On more than like a business relationship. Yeah. And I really think that if people in relationships, and I'll give you this advice. If people in relationships, if you're not taking time to be in union, whether it be intellectually, emotionally, or physically, it gets away from you as married people. When the world gets heavy, sometimes, dude, there's times where I'm just not into sex at all. Yeah. I'm just like, I have too much shit to think about.
You're just not there.
I'm thinking about everything else. I have no more bandwidth. Yeah. And like, if I don't, sometimes I like, even for stress management and like testosterone production, it's like, oh, I need to focus on this a little bit. But then there's other times, and this is where I will go back to the original point where I agree with you. Sometimes I'm preoccupied. Yeah. And Instagram will do that. Yes. Sometimes will preoccupy you.
Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is, whatever your vice is.
It'll preoccupy you.
It'll take up your time.
You're scrolling and then it's like ass. And then your feed becomes that only.
It does. And then also on top of that, you're psychologically speaking, you're conditioning yourself to look at people from only one point of view. Yeah, definitely. And it's this surface. Yeah. You know, it's like, oh, I see like my homie, super buff, like tatted, you know, clean cut, like he's got to be XYZ, you know, and it's I'm already like classifying you and putting you in this kind of, and it's like,
you're not giving people
a real shot. You know what I'm saying? This is literally what's happening with all of our culture, with like the Black Lives Matter and all that. It's really, what it really comes down to is just learning how to see each other as humans. Again, you know, like, of course I'm a black man. Okay, cool. I got it. Like, you're a white dude. Cool. I got it. Yeah. Let's just vibe, dude. Let's just chop it up and stop. And, you know, I posted something the other day, something that Miles McPherson said and I really love it, is like, we got to stop spending time talking about our differences and start living out our similarities.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's what this podcast is about, man.
Bro, I think it's hearts over everything, man.
I think that's and everything I do is about, for me, I have so many neuroses. I have so many, like, you know me, and I'm crazy. I am a crazy person, and I'm open about being crazy. It's like fine, you know, and I accept it. But for me, I look for other people's. I'm like, oh, what's your weird thing? Yeah, like do you bite your nails? Do you pick your
what's your thing?
Like, you know, like
I know you got one.
I'm paying attention to it, not because I want to. Some people look at the negative of people and they just shit on people. But I look at those things about people because they're not particularly negative, because I want to connect. Yeah. I want to feel a part of. Yes. So I look for people and I'm like, how do we feel?
Like, how can we all vibe?
And that's the interesting thing about politics right now. It's because other people are just the opposite of that. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, that's your neighbor, dude. Like, why would you if he's a doctor, he is going to save your life. Yeah. And he thinks differently than you. Why would you think of him that way or her that way? It's like, it's fucking it. And for me, because I live in that space, recovery has done that, mental health recovery has done that. Because I live in that space, I'm baffled
Yeah.
by like the state of where we are. Where
Yeah,
it's like,
bro, it's nuts.
why is that your first thought? And first of all, why would you say it publicly?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Crazy.
That's the part that really blows my mind. And see, this is so I think we on average as human beings, I think we have like it's over like 28,000 thoughts a day. You know, I can tell you if I'm thinking 28,000 thoughts a day, I can tell you at least a good like 90% of those should never even be spoken.
Yeah, don't say it.
Yeah, it should never even be spoken, bro.
Don't say it.
So what social media and all this stuff has done is it's given people a platform to just say any and everything, and that's not really good prudence.
Do you know what it's called and what's happening? It's called Dunning-Kruger. It's a psychological phenomenon where we think that we know more and are better at things than we are.
Yes.
And I was talking about this just before this recording with you. Kamala Harris is a district attorney of a major city within the largest bureaucracy.
Yeah.
In one of them in the world.
Yeah.
One of the largest economies in the world.
Yeah. You
are a personal trainer. Do you have any business talking about her? Your brain can't even wrap your head around the decisions that this woman has had to make. Yeah. You can't even fathom. Yeah. But because you read an article on Facebook,
right?
You're like, fuck her. She's part of the elite and she eats babies. Like, yo, bro, like who the fuck do you think you are? But we have that because everybody has a microphone. Essentially, everybody has this platform, and everybody has. There's clickbaity fucking, trolling articles that people and YouTube videos and all this stuff that you can consume that makes you think that you know about shit. And for me, people think like someone said to me, like, you have a podcast, like you think you know. No, I don't. Yeah. This whole podcast is predicated on that I don't know. And I'm just talking about shit I don't know and my own personal experience. Yeah. And if you have a personal experience with Kamala Harris, if something she did directly affected you, like I want to hear.
Bro, so this is so fucking funny that we're talking about this stuff. Cause like that's literally like so I had a few debates about Kamala and especially after I put some posts out about like, your thoughts, opinions, whatever. And one guy like really tried to go in and like engage me. And I said, hey, look, man, like I'm not necessarily like trying to disrespect you, but I would just, can you do me a favor? Can you qualify yourself? Yeah. Can you qualify yourself? And like, what gives you the authority or what gives you the knowledge and then he was like, and he just turned it into a whole like other thing that it didn't need to be. And it's like, but you're kind of making my point. It's like, because you're really not qualified to speak on like the matters that are beyond like what you're understanding. Like, look, dude, like, I'm a successful entrepreneur. I do well in finance. Like, cool. Like, I don't know the first fucking thing about politics. I know a lot about legislative. Like, I know the executive branch and I understand the fundamentals. But when it comes to like the intricacies of how politics and how these things are done on a national, international scale, I'll be the first one to tell you that like I don't know, and I pride myself on being a guy that I'm a pretty smart dude. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I don't fucking know.
You don't know most things. Yeah. We don't know most things.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
And so it's like, bro. So I focus on my experience. Yeah. I focus on the tangible things that I can see happening. Yeah. So like with the current political structure we have now, I see a lot of division. I see a lot of people being very mean. Yeah. That's my concern. That's when I look at like what needs to change, that needs to change because that's directly tangible. Like, people are meaner to each other now than they were before.
Yeah, and it's weird, dude, because it's hard for me to put a finger on like where that really comes from human nature. Like, why are we like this right now? Or
I think I know why.
What's your thought on it?
I think we have a leader right now who says things that people think. I think he is a shadow self. Yeah. I think he is what poor people think a rich person is. Mm-hmm. And I think he says things and reacts the way the average man wishes they could. Because in HR, it's that's
a good way of putting it.
At HR, it's at State Farm, you cannot say these things. You cannot talk about a Chinese virus. 99% of workplaces, you're out. They're gonna be like, Gary, We love the work you've done here.
Thank you, Gary.
But we're gonna need you to pack your office. like most places,
here's your flask.
Yeah, you can't talk like that.
Yeah.
So I think he says things and does things the way that people are like, fuck yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I fuck with that. And he plays on a belief system, which is in people's hearts.
Yeah.
And there was already such negativity in people's hearts that during an Obama presidency, you couldn't say that stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't appropriate. And he didn't bring that out of you.
And as a leader, he didn't bring that out. And
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
As a leader, there was an opportunity. When there's an opportunity to lead as a leader, you want cohesion.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker is the opposite.
Yeah.
He's like, what's the worst thing to say? I'm gonna say that shit.
Yeah.
Like every time. Hopefully you're like, during COVID, you're like, hopefully he steps up.
Yeah.
Nope, didn't rise to the occasion.
Yo, it's super. So it's something you said the last time we linked up like this that I thought about, and when I seen him, it made me laugh. I thought about you. You were talking about Kanye West and how you don't trust him with the power.
No.
And now I'm seeing what you meant.
No, he doesn't deserve it.
Because at the time I was like, yo, man, I fuck with Kanye. He's misunderstood, this and that. And then like, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, don't let me down, Kanye. Like,
no, he let you down. He let you down. When you think when there's an opportunity to do the right thing, he did the wrong.
Right? I know my guy, like, oh my God, dude, please don't go left. Don't go left. Don't go left. And then my guy just fucking went all the way left. So I mean, I thought that was really funny. But it's these leaders, dude. You're right. It's
we have poor leadership.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, I wanted real change.
Yeah.
That was what I think. That's what people were hoping for with Donald Trump, is like real change.
Yeah.
And he gave the illusion of that. Like there's this conspiracy theory like tied to him that people think he's like fighting against.
Yeah, that people really buy.
Yeah, like people really buy. But and I wanted real change in our political structure, and I still want to see that in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But I want positive leadership, and I think Kamala Harris and Joe Biden can actually do that.
I mean, if I'm just being 100% candid, I mean, anytime I see a woman of color, a black woman, you know, I know there's some dubious history behind what she identified. I don't really give.
Who cares?
Shit. Yeah, I don't.
She's
give
a brown woman.
Yeah,
why does her existence have to be questioned?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's my whole point.
That's so fucked up. That's so racist in essence.
It's like ridiculous.
Her
dude.
whole okay, on a national stage, now you're going to tell her she's not black enough. She's not Indian enough. It's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
man.
it's ridiculous. You're absolutely right, so my whole thing is like I'm gonna support her. I'm gonna support. You know, like, you know, I don't agree. I don't agree with Trump. I don't think Trump's a terrible man. Like, I think, truth be told, honestly, I think Trump is a product of his environment.
Absolutely.
You know, no different than, you know, some of the guys that I know on the streets that are still doing what they got to do to survive. You know, they're just a product of their environment. You know, I don't think that those guys are terrible people. Like, they just got to do what they got to do, you know, to put food on their table, you know. And Trump's just living out what he's been taught, you know, in his world. And so, but I don't agree with him. That's my thing, is I don't agree with that. It has nothing to do with Democrat or Republic. I don't give a shit about any of those things.
That's where I'm at too. It's like, I don't
give a shit about Democrat. I don't.
Like, yeah,
it's utterly ridiculous to me that we even have these these
for
denominations.
300 million people.
Yeah, it
seems so stupid, doesn't it? It's
like,
this is poor. This is poorly designed.
It's not. Yeah, it's not smart.
When there was 1 million people, this was fine to be designed that way.
Yeah,
but 300 million, there's too many people.
It's just too many people, and there's just too. What does it even mean to identify as a Democrat? Yeah. What does it mean to identify this as that? Who gives a shit? Like, just put your policies out there, put your thoughts, put your real beliefs out there, and then let us as a society, you know, trust us with the
war of ideas,
you know, like to try to make an educated decision. But here lies the rub, right? Is that in my heart of hearts, I actually don't think that we're given enough information to be able to make an informed decision about, you know, about who should be the leader of the most powerful country, arguably in the entire world, you know? So, like, for me, little Mike Dunn, like, running his little companies, like, bro, I'm just not qualified to be able to make those type of decisions. Like, you know, I pray for this country. I pray for our leadership. I pray for the people who are in those positions, who have made those commitments to being an authority. And I just hope to God, like,
that they do the
right thing, you know? And that's where I'm at with all of that.
And that's what I'd like to see, is more accountability to our politicians. But like, I tell people, okay, we need to get Donald Trump out, right? Like, this has been the most divisive time.
Yeah.
This is just poor leadership. I don't care what you think, but this is poor leadership.
Yeah, if you just look at it on
on a large scale,
on all
like,
facets, it's just not being well run. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess. So okay, we need something different. We have an opportunity to have something different. So are we going to keep them accountable?
Yeah.
Because here's what people are going to do, and we always do it. We're going to vote, and then we're going to back. And
we're going to just go walk around.
We're just going to go walk away, and then when the midterms come around, watch. We're going to not vote in the midterms, and now we have a Republican House and Senate. So any positivity that we wanted to happen isn't going to happen.
Be completely undermined.
So if we have an opportunity to mobilize and be like, okay, this motherfucker needs to be out. We want something different in, because this is not my choices either. This is not my favorite either, but I want something different. Now let's keep them accountable. Let's have a House and Senate that's representing. And let's have AOC. Let's have these women who don't particularly align with everything I say, but they represent a demographic that isn't normally represented.
Bro, see, okay, thank you. I'm glad you said that, because that's literally what I've been getting at. It's like, this is a black woman that's about to be the vice president of the United States, potentially, if everything goes according to what we hope it would. That's not some shit we've ever seen, ever.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my goddaughter, to be honest. I'm thinking about her.
Yeah.
What it means for her to be 1, 2, 3 years old and see a woman who looks like her in a position of leading or co-leading the free world.
Yeah.
You know, and what it does in her little beautiful mind of possibilities of what she can become. That's what I'm thinking about.
My girl grew up conservative, and I tell her, we have little brown babies. We have a little black baby. We have a little half Mexican baby.
You got some beautiful kids.
Thank you. So we have these children. We're not voting for ourselves. The changes that we see are for them. So you have to think of the big picture, and I think as a parent you have that.
Yeah.
As a business owner you have that.
Yes.
You have think of okay.
You got to be thinking about the future. You got to keep.
You have to.
Yeah.
But as a family person, it's to be like, okay, who am I voting for? And my kids are watching. Like, what are they going to hear?
Yeah.
And do they think this is what leadership is?
Because it ain't.
Do you think this is what power looks like? Because this is not what power looks like.
Yeah.
I don't want. Do not replicate this power.
Yeah.
This is awful. This is an awful version of this. You know, so we have to vote. We have to vote for our children. You know, and with having Kamala Harris, she's proven that she can be high level leadership.
Yeah.
And we need something different. And I'm tired of my rights being represented by old white people.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair.
Yeah,
I don't think that's fair.
I think there's just a disconnection, right? You know, truthfully, maybe going all the way back to Bill Clinton in the 90s, maybe that might have been a guy but when you really look at it, some of the things he did, you're like, oh, shit.
He's cold-blooded.
Yeah, he set us up for failure in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways when you look at it from an economic standpoint, but neither here nor there. I just want to see people who look like me in positions that are of power.
And I think that's fair, man.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And because, that's the one thing I talk about with the boys on our show. We talk a lot about, just being a black man and just trying to change that paradigm shift. Look, not all black people are one way, nor so are
we're all ways.
Yeah, we're all ways. You know what I'm saying? And it's it's not one thing or another. And there's these beautiful shades of gray and integrated in every culture. You know, and I just want to see more of that represented. And I think it's time. It's been 400 some odd years.
Yeah.
Let's continue pushing this narrative forward, and it's time.
If we talk about democracy, we should be talking about our representatives, our police, our representatives on a local level, all the way up to the executive level, who represent the communities, that of their constituents. People really hate on AOC. First of all, you don't live where she represents.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Why do you even care?
Yeah.
She's in the Bronx.
Bro, her story is amazing.
But in the Bronx,
yeah,
she represents those people. She represents a positive story for those people. So let her represent those people who
don't have a voice up until her deciding to do something.
Exactly. I just think it's time to stop having old white men dictate everything that everybody else does.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's fair. And people who disagree usually this is why people say white people, it's race is played on in the Republican Party, because it's we're old and white. We want to be represented by people like us. And I don't care if you're represented, because you're not like me.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at now. It's like CNN, MSNBC is all wrong because they don't agree with you. That's why you think they're wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, do you think they're all the way wrong? Like, that's crazy. Anyway, let's wrap it back around.
Okay.
So to your business.
Okay.
Second, because you can get in these rabbit holes all day long. There's a lot of clips there, a lot of
a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, a lot of clips there. But let's talk about your business and how you said your business has succeeded during COVID and increased. And what do you attribute that to? Because a lot of businesses are in trouble.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I attribute that to a variety of reasons, but I can sum it up in pretty much 3 letters. G-O-D is really why my business is thriving. It's 100% God. It has nothing to do with me. I mean, I'm just a steward. I'm just a manager of these resources that he has given me to push this thing forward. I think what happened with us is that we're in the right industry at the right time. When you look at it from an economical standpoint, all of these things are converging. The debt equity market is a huge space right now because now we have the government involved in taking on insurmountable amounts of debt. So for a company who specializes in management of debt, that's a good position to be in, right? But the major pivot, I think what happened with us was that I had already been looking at the idea of business credit and building out business credit specifically for clients to get funded with their business. And so we had already kind of been putting the finishing touches on that program, and then COVID hit. So I was already in a position to kind of pivot, you know? And realistically, I had been thinking about that prior to this happening. It was one of our our yearly goal that we wanted to be, you know, fully a concierge of services by the end of 2020. And so we got approached by a few major entities, one being the SBA, another major company who works directly with the SBA as well, reached out to us for a designation opportunity to be able to get on the front lines and really get into the trenches with some of these business owners and really kind of help them in every way that we can. Because we're seeing it, right? Like, I think gyms, probably, a lot of retail industries, restaurants, et cetera, those are the ones who are mostly impacted right now. And, you know, small business is literally the backbone of the entire economy. So if small businesses go, it subsequently creates a lot of problems. So, you know, for us to be in a position of being maximum service, and you guys, you know, you hear me say that a lot, like I'm trying to be of maximum service as much as I can. We just made the right decisions at the right time. And I believe that to me, I give that glory to God, because I think that he just I spend so much time thinking about the future, you know, that I think he just kind of gave me those gems early on to say, like, you know, putting those thoughts in my head of like, make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. Make sure you address this. Make sure you address that. Because like because now, right, everyone's on Zoom. Everyone's Zooming up. Zoom. We have been Zooming like in year 1. Yeah. I'd already been doing Zoom.
The remote space has boomed and has changed the business landscape for us.
Yeah.
There's my mom's company. She had a multi-million-dollar building. She's like, oh, when that lease is up, we're never going back there. Yeah. We're cutting our building in half, and we're going to have everybody, not everybody, but half in Zoom and rotating in and out of work, sharing a workspace, having co-working spaces. And people are really upset about it, about the shift. People are really upset.
But you know what's interesting, though? So they surveyed this. When you look at all the major companies who probably had the biggest challenge of pivoting because they're so large, they're just not as flexible as like a smaller company like ours. A lot of their employees, you saw an increase in rate production. You also saw an increase in overall just quality of life, even though we were kind of still trapped, so to speak, in our homes. I was just even recently just speaking with a young lady, a good friend of mine, and it was her first day going back to work. She was like, you know, this has been a weird transition because I was actually enjoying being at home. I'm thriving, you know, like I'm this and I'm that and that and that. And like, I've also thought about it too, because we were in the process of expanding. We were shopping office space right before COVID hit. And then I started thinking, you know what? Maybe we should do a hybrid of those, Definitely. You know, where like we can have a dedicated space so that for people that like to come into the working environment, like putting on the nice clothes and, you know, walking in and feeling like they're at work, we can do that for them. But for folks like me, I don't need that. I don't need that, bro, to be driven. Like,
I don't need it either.
Bro, I'm over there closing deals in my onesie, like chilling, like getting after it on my fifth cup of coffee, you know? Like, I mean, I don't need anybody to motivate me to get up and get after it. But I do understand the importance of having a dedicated space for that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a very interesting dynamic to be able to navigate as a business right now.
It's just which is so fucked up, but this is the free market doing what the free market does.
Yeah.
This really is an example of like, it is volatile, and I think we get that twisted.
Yeah.
I think, and myself included, we get like comfortable quickly making money. And like, we're lucky we grew up in a couple different recessions.
Yeah.
So I think we should know now after this, now being in business, both of us being in business for this recession, we're like, okay, this is going to happen again. Maybe in the next 8 years again.
I mean, if I had to put a number on it, so I think, right now, the interest rates are still normalizing. So for people who are not in the world of finance, let me just give you a quick rundown of what the hell has fucking happened so far, right? So government print out a ton of money that causes the value of all of our little cookies, our dollars, to go down, right? The reason why it's been so difficult for lenders, right, is like, okay, well, we know we need to give this money away because people need it, but fuck, like, how are we going to get the money back? I mean, like, we don't even have a price to set because the price is going down and down and down day by day by day due to rate of inflation. So we're only going to give the money to the people who are the most qualified, which is why you've seen in underwriting guidelines like the increases of credit score requirements, increases of D to I ratio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is going to go on. We're going to do this little dance for probably about another 2 quarters. Q4 is going to be like that. Q1 and Q2. After Q2 of 2021, I think that everything's going to kind of normalize. It's going to calm down. We're going to have new legislation in office, or whatever's going to be going on in legislations wise. But at that point, the government and all the powers that be are going to kind of readjust the interest rates, and we're going to have kind of a little bit of a normal period. I think that if you're in a position to refinance right now, go ahead and do that. This is the best time to do it. If you're a brand new home buyer and you're thinking about wanting to buy a home, wait for the market to kind of take a sip. Yes, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of inventory that's going to come onto the market. So it's going to become a buyer's market. So it's going to be more cookies to sell than there are people to buy them. So then they're going to be the cookies themselves become less valuable, which makes it better for you as a buyer. So, this is a time to be focusing on your credit, be focusing on like getting your nest egg saved up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and doing all that stuff. But then what's going to happen is that all of that debt is going to have to be repositioned. And that is the part that's really hard to tell right now because, again, like I was talking to you when we were just kind of chopping it up before, is that we've seen some things in this recession. We've seen some things in this COVID that we've never seen before, other than just the COVID itself, the virus.
Yeah.
Like economically speaking, there's some things that, I mean, some of the best economists on the planet have not been able to put their finger on like why this happened. But, so it's interesting. It's going to be some interesting times, This is a great time to start a business, straight up.
Yeah.
It really is, I certainly encourage all people to do it.
On the lowest level, you have the time to do the infrastructure.
Yeah.
You have the time to write a business plan.
Yeah.
Even if you're at work, you're at work part-time. On a base level, like if you don't have the capital to really start your business, on the base level, you have the time to build the infrastructure. And I think that's what I hope I conveyed during this time is this really could have been a positive time for people.
Oh, it can be.
Generally, my life has leveled up.
Yeah.
It's
either what fearful response versus faithful response, right? And I mean, and this is again testament to the work, testament to what we do. We were built for this. This is what we trained for, right? Yeah. This is what we get
life on life's terms.
Yes, right. Yeah. This is what this is it. This is go time, right? So it's like, I found myself going back to like being in that 6-foot cell, and thinking like, bro, this is cake. Like, homie, like I'm waking up in a comfortable ass bed. I got like I got my home office. I got like a full like 1,200 square feet to walk around, like kitchen, food, everything. It's like, dude, like I don't really have anything to complain about. Like, of course, like I would like to go out and have a dinner or two with a friend or two, but
It's okay. There's so many people.
It's not. It's better than a 6 foot cell.
That was very whack. People were like, "I just want to go out to dinner." It's like, oh, shut the fuck up, dude.
Bro, people are fucking dying, dog. Yeah, right. People are fucking dying, dog.
That is a real fucking privileged ass move. So, like, I want to enjoy a good meal. Sorry, it's weird. It's weird. That's what you're upset about.
Yeah, right.
Like,
that's your gripe, right?
Yeah,
that's your gripe. That's quality problems, bro.
So tell me about. You said you started some new projects.
Yeah,
Talk about
man.
the new projects.
So DCG was born out of COVID, a Decade Consulting Group. So we specialize. Wow, shocker, consulting. But I do like consulting was always in my repertoire. Like from that, my first millionaire mentor was a consultant, and I helped him build a real estate consulting firm. Did very, very well, and so that was always in my repertoire. I knew that eventually I'd want to do that, but it just became a demand because there was a lot of struggling credit repair companies that were out in the space that were like, look, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know how to pivot. I don't know what's going on. Like I need some guidance, and so. I'd already kind of established myself in that world as like kind of being a guy that was like, in that level, like, so to speak, for lack of a better word. So I started having people reach out. So I started doing that. And then I got into e-commerce, e-commerce is a huge, bro. I mean, the best part is that it's still an untapped market in terms of potential.
Man, it is popping off.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And I have a friend who got rich off in e-commerce 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was like, but it's difficult to track.
Yeah.
And to understand, it's got to study it.
Yeah. Well, what you actually, believe it or not, see, the reason why e-commerce is difficult because there's two fundamental components that people don't quite understand. One, digital marketing, and two, inventory management.
Fulfillment.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Inventory management. So when you get into I'm not going to do this right now, but when you get into inventory management from an accounting standpoint, it becomes very, very, very simple. And if you want to see a really good illustration of an inventory management company, go to any retail store. That's how inventory management is done. So like all that pricing that you see, like, let's say you go to H&M and that shirt that you saw 2 months ago, that was like $25, now is being priced at $7.99. It's because it's on a FIFO or a LIFO inventory status. So they're still being profitable by selling it at $7.99, but they need to clear it out to get move more inventory and being able to source those products and understand the accounting models. That's the part that people don't know how to do. Like, even like you, right? You make dope logos. You're a creative mind. You're brilliant at that stuff. But the finance stuff, you would rather have somebody that's Fuck that, right? And that's the thing. So there's another project that I'm working on. I can't talk about it in too much detail, but I will tell you this: we're looking to solve that problem for every industry. Yeah. Where it's like, man, I'm a fucking beast at like what I do, but I fucking hate this finance shit. Yeah. If I could find a guy or a girl who can really just take over that portion, we be chilling, and it's part of the 5 pillars of growth, and you have to address the finance portion of it. So I have some venture partners who I found during COVID, that came to, we started, rapping, figuring out where we could align and shit like that. And she's like, Mike, you got 2 multi-million billion. One of them's $1 billion idea that's built on blockchain, which I won't get into any of that stuff today. But this other one, she's like, we can roll this. We can get this product to launch by going into Q1 of 2021. And I know we were talking about the economy earlier. She's the economist I'm talking about. She's also a partner. So
we're going to have her on.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to talk to her. As soon as we get done all this stuff, I'll reach out to her. But yeah, she told me, she's like, look, I got an internet. She's a dual citizen, international network. She's a beast in the economy. She's the yin to my yang in the financial world perfectly, because I understand consumer finance, but I'm a little weak on economic growth. And she's an expert in economic growth. She's a little weak on the consumer side. So we balance each other perfectly. And so she's teaching me how to structure the company appropriately, to source capital internationally. We're doing all kind of stuff. But bottom line is like, that was a project that did not exist before COVID. The people who came into my life were a direct result of me just being open, honest, and willing to just do life on life's terms, bro. Yeah. Like, none of that shit that I'm talking about, none of it would have happened if I wasn't, in trying to grow, you know, like if I was just focused on like this negative shit that's going on in the, you know, in society.
There's been a few responses. There's two responses to this. Like you said, fear and faith.
Yeah. And you can't be in both at the same time.
Well, I would disagree with that. I've gone through both.
You've been fearful and faithful at the same time?
Yeah, I'm from the school of thought that I'm a very cyclical, maybe it's being bipolar that I get used to. No, sir, dead ass. Like I feel you. I get used to ebbing and flowing, and I've just, you know, there's been times where my recovery has been so strong in this time where I've been like, fuck, man, like I got this. Like sponsoring, man, I'm taking care of it. Yeah. And there's been times where like fucking smoking cigarettes look so dope right now. Like drinking.
You know what's funny? I've seen you in that kind of mode before, where you're fucking vibing, and the other times you're just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, there's so I've been through both, and like I've been like super enthusiastic, and then I've had podcasts from like on the like almost laying like on the microphone, you know, like so. And I think there's room for both. And I tell people that because I think most people vacillate. Okay, I think most people vacillate, and I think we should be proud when we're shining. Yeah. But one of my old sponsors says, you can't be shiny all the time. Yeah. You're shiny a lot. but for me, I vacillate quite a bit.
But no, but Joe, you're absolutely right, dog. I mean, like, you know, I had some stuff that hit me from a relationship standpoint, hit me in the gut, had me in a really bad spot for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And you're right, dog. You know, actually, you were one of the people who help pull me out the pit. You know what I'm saying? And really got me to see things from a different lens. And I have my heavy days. I think the big thing with me now is I've just learned how to feel my feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's okay.
It's okay. That's the thing. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay to just be okay. Yeah. You know, like it's not. You don't have to be fucking great all the time. Yeah. You know? And just, you know, and it's not an indictment of you as a human being.
That's another byproduct of social media is that people think they're shiny all the time.
They have to be.
They're like, they
have to be.
And you know, people be your authentic self. Okay, so tell people when you're not doing good. Yeah, because I know you're not. I know you're struggling. Like, you know, I know everybody is, and like, I know how many of you are broke right now on social media. Yeah. How many of you are driving Postmates? Like I told you before this. Like, how many of you are doing what you got to do to get it done? A lot of people. Yeah. A lot of people. You know, a lot of people started OnlyFans during quarantine. A lot of people got on. A lot of people got on Pornhub during quarantine.
Savage, bro. Actually, dude, I broke my tie to porn, dude.
Me too. High five.
Yes.
Yes, dude. Life without porn. Like I've had slips. To be honest, I'll be honest.
It's hard, bro.
It's super hard.
It's hard.
But porn perpetuates rape culture. Yeah. Porn changes my whole entire view from
of sex.
If I'm gonna be personal,
it does, dude.
When I'm not watching porn, I'm way more intimate sexually. Yes, I'm way more insecure sexually. Ooh. Like when I'm watching porn, I feel like, hey, I'm getting it. But like when I'm without it, I'm a little bit more like, don't look at me, or like, oh wow, you know, like,
see, mine more goes to like just the disproportion of like the perversion, like idea of like sex and what, and I'm thinking like, so when I'm watching porn, I'm thinking of only what I can get, right? Yeah. Now that I'm like but it's weird because I haven't been intimate with a woman since I've disconnected from porn, so I don't even know what it's going to be like, so to speak.
It's interesting.
This new me, you know what I'm saying? Because like that was something that I was like, you know what? I'm sick of this shit. Yeah. I'm sick of like,
it's exhausting.
Bro, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's demoralizing. It fucks with my psyche. Yeah. It fucks with my confidence. You know, like, it's a lot.
This comedian says that when you're like 13 or 14, it's like, fuck yeah, we're
I think I'm
and then by the time you're 30, you're like, stay away from me and stay away from my family. Like, leave me alone. Like, I'm tired of this testosterone doing push-ups in the back. It's like, damn, yo, like, get the fuck out of here, dude. But like, I'm sure as you journey with it, it'll change your relationship to intimacy. I think so. And the way I look at women,
see, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like really, I've been talking about it a lot, and I talked about it on the podcast recorded prior to this, is that you realize what women experience. I've had an opportunity to think about what women are experiencing, and it's so predatory. And then porn is so predatory. And then it changes the way is there's whole kids right now. I grew up in it. We're some of the first people to grow up in it. But there's children who are growing up and 4K watching girls get like throat fucked.
Yeah.
And they're thinking that that's what sex is like.
Yeah. And it's just not okay,
it's
dude.
so far from that. And it's really psychologically damaging.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
And you think about like, now you take the man, like the mind of an adult man or an adult woman, and they're looking at these things and they're thinking like, okay, like this is like what I want to try, or like this is what I want to do. And it's like, but you don't understand that like this is not real. Yeah. This has been like filmed in like multiple takes and chopped and cut and like it's only showing you what the producers want you to see.
Airbrushed, edited,
all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And you're thinking that like that's what real intimacy or like what real satisfaction is supposed to look like. And it's, bro, like the biggest thing that I learned about my own personal porn addiction, and like the thing that I learned the most about what it was doing to me is that it's gotten me into this place where I think that there's only one objective for sex.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It's not.
And that's not what it is.
Yeah.
And like, but that's what porn has conditioned me to do. Is say that whenever I'm ready to do this thing, like that's when I'm gonna, like then I'm gonna go grab her and I'm gonna seduce her and da.
Do whatever I need.
That idea too. Yeah.
The idea that we were
fucking crazy.
It was before I got sober. It was business as usual, and it still is to say what you need to say.
Yeah.
Take them where you need to take them. Floss the way you need to, in order to fuck them. Yeah. How fucked up is
it's diabolical,
for
bro.
what we do to women. And then
it's diabolical.
With the potential that you'll never call again.
You already know that you're probably not.
It's so cold-blooded.
What are we talking about? Post-nut clarity, Doug?
Yeah, it's so cold-blooded. And I can't do it anymore. Yeah. Even if obviously I'm in a relationship, but even if I was single, I don't want to
do that anymore, bro.
It's fucked up.
This is why it talks about it being a sin against your own body. And I just wasn't mature enough because I was so busy thinking that I was fucking different when I was growing up. And like that I was a weirdo for wanting to like read books and like study and like all this weird shit. And like that, like my whole view of self was just like messed up. So then like when I finally started having sex, I was like, okay, I gotta get as like many women on my ledger as possible, because now like I'm like, yo, like
there's value. You found value.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like this fucked up, like warped view of like sexuality. And I was carrying that, bro, forever.
I will tell you, it's so interesting for me, and my partner and I are just in the beginning stages of it, of two people with sexual trauma and having a healthy sexual relationship where it's on a regular basis. Yeah. Everybody's doing things that they want to do. Because so much of sex is an obligation for people. Yes. It's like, give them a quarterly blowjob. Yeah. Like, it's like, don't suck my dick if you don't want to. Yeah. Like, nothing's worse than a girl who sucks your dick.
Bro, I know people are not going to agree with this, or they're going to think I'm lying, but I actually am not big on head.
I feel you.
I
disagree. Really I am a big fan.
I understand.
But I don't.
I understand.
My girl doesn't do it.
It's not my thing.
My girl doesn't do it, and I don't complain because I don't want her. If you don't,
I don't want you doing something out of obligation. This isn't a fucking job.
That sucks.
Yeah, this isn't a job.
Just if you think about it, like if you really need to, like,
I guess I'm gonna.
It's like ew. It's so gross. It's like I'd rather you just not. Yeah, it's fine.
Lackluster.
Just like you're doing like blah, blah.
It's like fuck
out of here.
Okay.
But building a healthy sexual relationship. I don't even know what it looks like.
I don't even know if I do. I don't know if I do, bro. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had that. You know what I'm saying?
Most of us haven't. We've either been hypersexualized, or often when after there's a book called The Love Languages, everybody knows 5 love languages. They talk about after 2 years that there's the NRE, the new relationship energy is gone. And now you have to like value the person. Yes. And treat and sexually as part of that is like when that new relationship energy is gone, like having a healthy, this is where it becomes intimacy and not lust.
Yeah.
The lust is gone. Now it's like, what does she really like?
Yeah.
What do I really like? Like I woke up in the middle of the night and I wrote this note. I want to be secure and safe sexually. As a big 6'3" man, people would say, "Of course you're safe sexually. You're bigger than it."
Yeah.
No, but
but you don't feel that way.
I was my safety sexually was taken from me as a kid. Really? I have sexual trauma of my own, so I've always had a warped view of it. So at 30, finally, I want to be at a place where it's like I'm confident naked.
Yeah.
Not even based off of looking good, but like. Confident, and
isn't that funny that how you can physically look good and not feel confident
because it's intimate. It's intimate, and someone seeing me, and so being confident in how long I'd last, and which there's never been a problem, but
nonetheless,
it's like remove all that ego from.
But see, that's the shit okay, so this is the shit that I'm talking about when we talk about looking at porn, like, because I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about like, okay, well, he's doing this and he's lasting like this, like, man, he's going forever and this and that, and it's like, oh my, and it's like, bro, like.
It's just not.
That's not reality.
Exactly.
It's not reality, dog.
Exactly. It's a lot to unpack, man.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part about personal development. It's the cool part about recovery is there's just phases and onion. It's an onion. It's just breaking down.
I dig that.
And it talks about at this phase of our development, right? In literature. Yeah. And it talks about, okay, so at what phase of my development am I in? I'm at this phase of my development. Now it's time to unpack this piece.
Yeah.
And the emotion for me, this year has been about emotional well-being. I theme every year.
Yeah.
And this year, that was the theme. It was like, I want to be emotionally healthy. What does that look like for me? And I've achieved that, and it's been difficult in a lot of ways. And I haven't fully achieved it, but
But you're there. You're getting close because I can see it. I can see it in your spirit. I can see it in your aura. Thanks. Like, even when we, like, and that's one of my gifts, what like God's given me is being able to see that in people, that discernment. Like, because as soon as I walked, and I hadn't seen you in a minute since COVID, right? And I could tell. I was like, he's different.
Man.
I was like, he looks different. Like,
we've been putting the work.
Yeah.
in.
I was like, he looks different.
Thanks,
like,
man.
You know what I'm saying? So
so
keep it up, man.
Thank you. I encourage everybody to work on yourself. That's what I said on here. We're healing out loud. That's all we're doing. We're just trying to get better. The podcast already called Getting Better, but if it wasn't, I would name it that. But let's wrap up because we can do this for how long?
I know, right?
We can always chatty Cathy it up. Plug your businesses.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. So if you guys have any issues with credit, if your credit score starts with a 4, 5, or 6, you can find us at decadesolutions.com. DECADE.
We'll put a link in the bio.
Solutions.com. You just click on the Get Started link. If you guys mention the podcast or mention Hearts Over Everything, we'll give you guys a discount if you decide to move forward.
Cool.
Yeah, of course. And then if you guys are having business challenges, if you're a business and you have some issues with your funding or you're trying to get business credit, you don't know where to start, you don't know where to go, you don't know what the hell to do, go to our secondary site, decadebusiness.com, and you can go there. Same thing, hit the Get Started link, mention Hearts Over Everything. You guys will get a discount if you guys decide to move forward. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. And your Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Your Instagram is going to be hanging out right here, all podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be right under you.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Right. Mike the Money Guy. And of course, you guys can DM me all that stuff. And I mean, I'm on almost every social media channel other than like TikTok. I don't fuck with that young stuff. But Facebook, all that stuff, you guys can find us all on there. Decade Financial Solutions, Michael Dunn, Mike the Money Guy. We're all over the place. Right?
Boom. All right, man. We out here.
Yeah, right?
Just circling above. They all in a piece, but they don't even know my name. Won't get even to swipe for the train. Cloudy, ride to the airport. Gotta get right for the plane. Custom smell like kush. Wifey hand in a tish. Yes, and I got no shame. Some line to shine. With a broke, you got no game. Waking up next to the skate. Can't go home to a dame. Nah, tell themselves they're the same. Really, though, who could they blame?